I would like to talk about this Domantas Sabonis trade stuff that came up
Yep.
on a different radio station with Sam Amick yesterday.
And it changed yesterday. Like there were two, like initially it was like there isn't a robust market. Now, I don't know if it's robust, but there are teams.
So here's what was said. And then we have a fun name for what we're going to call this.
We're going to call it,
We'll debut the name in a second. So Sam Amick said on another show here in town, quote, the reason they were comfortable doing the Keegan Murray contract is because partly at least they not only valued him within their program, but they learned that he's got a lot of value around the league. So, as it relates to Sabonis, my understanding is there are at least a few teams that have raised their hand to say, yeah, he's somebody we'd want to talk about. I've said it on your show before. I don't have that sort of information about Zach LaVine.
Yeah.
So, that leads us to a fun new segment that we're going to call, that was named by none other than Toby Ham.
That's right.
James, would you like to say what our new segment is going to be called?
Yeah, so we're going to start tracking what's happening with the Sacramento Kings and whether they're able to trade people. And I think this is about flipping the roster, right? How quickly can they flip the roster? How quickly can they get a different group of players in here, whether it's to get draft picks or anything else?
How do they execute their plan to dig out of whatever ditch they're currently in?
That's right. And we're going to call it, again, shout out to my son, the Beam Scheme.
We will have a whole drop. I'm just going to take this.
Kaminga Watch.
And just replace Kaminga Watch
with Beam Scheme.
Yeah, that's how it's going to go.
I'm here for it.
So we'll start here with a Domantas Sabonis trade then. I guess. Look, I know that Sabonis has become this kind of polarizing figure in Sacramento because there are people who are just out on him, especially at 45 plus million, which I totally understand. But then there are people who are like, look, you had a 48 win team that was the most efficient offense of all time at the time with him as the offensive hub. So why would you not keep that guy around?
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is where it gets a little, some of the nuance of the trade conversation comes in, because to me, it's not just black and white. Thumbs up, trade him. Thumbs down, don't. It's, what are you getting for him?
Mm-hmm.
If there are multiple teams raising their hands and saying, yeah, we have interest, that's great. Because now you get bidding wars starting. The concern for me would be, I guess the question would be, if you're Scott Perry, Team X, I don't even want to say a team because I don't know. I genuinely have no idea. Team X calls. What are you looking for? Because Jerry Reynolds said something really interesting yesterday. You're looking for the wounded antelope.
Yep.
Right? So teams are looking at the Kings and going, ooh, okay, they have useful players. They're probably going to blow this thing up. They're hoping to get Domantas Sabonis on the cheap.
Yeah.
Which is where the conundrum comes in for the Kings.
It's one of those things, you always hear this line, if you can't tell who the sucker is at the table, it's you.
Yes.
Right? So it feels like in this situation, the Kings are the one who are the wounded animal. They're the one. So as opposed to going out there and trying to find the wounded animal and trade for that for themselves, the John Morant or Jonathan Kuminga, the undervalued player, they are now the person who's being hunted. Teams are going to come to the Kings, and
they have the undervalued players.
Yeah, this first round here of phone calls, you're not going to get really good offers at all. I don't think at all. And it's a very, there's a possibility that Scott Perry goes, okay, I don't really care. I don't really care what the offer is. I need to shake things up and I need to get a deal done. Now, you can't just go around trading away a top 20 player in the NBA and get nothing back. You at least have to get young players. You at least have to get some draft picks. You at least have to get off of the contract. And so Domas is owed 42.3 this year. He's owed 45.5 next year, and he's owed 48.6 the year after.
I wonder how much value, as we talk about the beam scheme, how much value there is to Scott Perry and co. to just get rid of the contract.
Yeah, because that's going to be the question. But how many times can you do that? And the Kings aren't in a position where they can give up any sort of draft capital to get rid of a guy like Domantas Sabonis.
Right.
So, like, you would hope that you'll be able to get some sort of first round pick as part of the deal. If it's like a weird, like not good trade at all, you might be able to get 2 first round picks. You might be able to get a first and a couple of seconds. Like the Kings need to replenish some of, especially like the second round pick thing. They need to replenish all of their stores, right? They have their own draft picks all the way through 2032, and they also have 2 extra draft picks. One of them is now, like it's a pick swap, and there's some other stuff going on with it. The other one is just like you have the 2027 Spurs pick unprotected for next season. So like, look, I think that there's going to be value, at least some value in trading Domas. You're going to ask for a young center. You're going to ask for some expiring contracts. That's the key, the expiring contracts. But then there's also going to be some compensation. Like, I don't think you're going to have to trade Domantas Sabonis for nothing. I do think, like, when you get to Zach LaVine's contract, that's almost unmovable. Like, it was unmovable when the Kings got it. And it proves every single time that there is no such thing as an unmovable contract in the NBA. I remember Joe Johnson being the one that was like, that is the worst contract I've ever seen. And he got traded at least once, and I think twice.
Yeah.
But you're hoping that as part of your rebuild, it's not just flushing the contracts out the door, because to be honest with you, you still have to spend the money. You have to be within 10% of the salary cap. So if the salary cap right now is what, like 155 or whatever it is, you have to be within 140 million. You have to be at 140 million. So when you trade away a 40 something million dollar player, and knowing that next season you're going to have to you're going to have to bring some of that money back in, but you always have to be wise with how you're spending your money and everything else. This is a moment where, like, I do think that there is value in Domas. I think that, a team like Portland, they've got some young players, but they're also, it feels like they're on a quicker trajectory than they thought.
Sure.
Right. And Domas, of course, grew up in Portland a good portion of his life because his dad played for the Blazers. He's a brand name in Portland. They love the Sabonises in Portland, but I also see a pathway where, they have a bunch of expiring contracts. They've got a couple of players that you're like, okay, I wouldn't mind having that player on my roster. So maybe you can get 1 or 2 young players. Maybe you can get, some players that relieve cap issues, or maybe you go for a player like Jeremy Grant and say, okay, well, at least we'll be slightly competitive with a player who plays a position of need, and maybe you can get something done there. But I think that there will be teams that raise their hand and say, yeah, I'm in on Sabonis. And like, look, I've said this a couple of times in the last couple of days. Like, I've had conversations. The Kings are going to field phone calls all day long right now. That a lot of phone calls they've got are about Keegan Murray. It's about which he can't be traded. It's about Keon Ellis. It's about Nick Clifford. A lot of teams around the league saw Nick Clifford in preseason and summer league and like, oh boy, like you got something there.
Right.
But the Kings aren't looking to trade those guys. What they are looking to move off of is like try to progress quicker to that 2027 moment. Right. Like, it doesn't have to be 2027. We say 2027 right now because this is the players and the contracts you have under contract.
It is the current path.
Yeah,
you would like to fast forward that path as quickly as humanly possible.
Yeah. So there is a way in which they are able to progress this thing and move forward. But again, you're going to want something, especially for Domas. Like the others, you would like to have a useful player for a DeMar DeRozan trade. With Zach LaVine, you would like to have, like, again, an up-and-coming player, maybe a couple of second-round picks or something that could balance out. But what you don't want is you're looking at 47 of Zach LaVine this year and 49 next year. You're not looking to take on somebody else's problem at 40 for the next 5 years. Or
you're looking for expiring money, or like a rotation player.
Yeah, or I guess there is always a possibility, like, say, the Ja Morant thing does materialize where they're looking to move off a Ja, and you're like, okay, this would make sense for both teams short term.
I think Memphis would be a great fit for Domas.
Yeah.
Well,
Domas, like Memphis is a team that I've heard specifically with Domas. I've heard the Nets might be interested in Domas. But there's also like that's just the beginning, the tip of the iceberg.
I hit our buddy Danny Meringue, who I trust more than just about anybody on Portland stuff.
Yeah.
He's been on the show before, a friend of the program. He is on 1051 The Fan up in Portland. It's our sister station. Shout out to Odyssey.
Yeah.
I said, send me a Sabonis trade for the Blazers. And then I got back, absolutely not.
Really? But
again,
yeah.
That is Danny personally. He said, love the guy, do not want. That was his take.
Yep.
That is not a reflection of the Blazers. The Blazers may very well be interested. I just thought that was funny.
Well, yeah. And
I was expecting to have a fake trade to talk about.
Like, here we go. Like, Robert Williams makes $13.3 million, the Time Lord. Matisse Thybulle, $11.6 million. Right there, you're already at like $25 million. So, like, getting to Domas's number might not be that difficult. Again, they have Yang Hansen or Hansen Yang, but they also have Donovan Klingham. Would they trade Klingham right now as part of a trade to try to balance out their roster a little? They've got Chris Murray hiding there. Would they make one of these trades that would bring in a player that, again, like if you're bringing along a young center, but he's a year or two away, having Domas for the next 3 years, that would be a playoff team.
Sure.
Yeah. And people, they don't want to go old. It's like, okay, well then why'd they go get Drew Holiday?
Yeah, it's not that old.
Yeah.
It's older, but it's not like he's 35.
Yeah. Or they have Jeremy Grant at $32 million, but he's 32, 34, and 36 over the next 3 years. Yeah, I don't want to take on that contract.
Progressive G in the chat said, what kind of losers talk about blowing up a team 6 games under 500 with 70 games left? The house is on fire.
Yeah.
You can sit there and go, I think there's a fire extinguisher around here somewhere. I'm going to go find it while your entire roof is ablaze. That can be you, Progressive G. You go find that fire extinguisher and you let us know how that works getting that fire out.
Well, and here's
the rest of us are going, hey, we should probably get out of here. What's the path forward after we leave this burning house?
Yeah, I think the problem too is that you walked into the season like in a house surrounded by newspapers and flammable things.
And honestly, there was already a fire in the backyard.
You smelled smoke. You're like, I smell smoke. And it's like, you should probably get out. I'm sure we'll be fine. Like, no, I smell.
Dennis Schroeder can fix this.
I know.
He's CPR certified.
The cracking of fire, like that little popping noise it makes. We're still fine. It's a tough situation to be in because the Kings knew that this was a possibility. They did. Scott Perry knew that this was a possibility. And,
he's
in
not
fact,
dumb.
This might be part of the plan. Like to have a rough start.
The soft tank.
So you can move on from some of these players that maybe your owner didn't want to get rid of. So it's a tough situation, man. Like, when you're the team who, again, is the wounded animal, you're sifting through trade offers that are just, most of them are just garbage.
Right.
And then someone's going to come with a slip of paper and slide it over to you. And you're going to be like, aha, that's where I'm heading. I see the vision of this trade. Let me see if I can get a little bit more. And that's where you start a real honest conversation about making a trade.
Yeah.
So like, it's tough because, like the one thing I wanted to talk to Jerry about yesterday, which we didn't get to, is like the worst non-trade the Kings ever made. Like a trade that they had done and didn't complete. They had a trade lined up with Lionel Simmons for Detlef Schrempf. And they were going to pair Detlef Schrempf with prime Detlef Schrempf with Mitch Richmond. And ownership wouldn't sign off on the money because Detlef Schrempf was owed a new contract and he was going to want too much money and they didn't want to pay him. And so this is a like 3 previous owners, but it was like that moment where something cool could have happened. There's something cool that could have happened to the Kings. It did happen. It was when you had the Pascal Siakam negotiations and you backed out and you walked away because you didn't want to spend the money. That's where this thing went off its rails. Where you had a pathway forward that could have made you an elite team, and instead you backtracked to a team that was losing the momentum that they had created.
Yeah,
it's tough.
That's where when we talk about trade stuff and you talk about getting value, I think one of the difficulties is teams know that the Kings don't want to move forward with this.
Yeah.
And so we can sit here and go, well, the trade offers weren't good enough. And now you're poisoning the rest of this season. You're running the risk of, man, maybe you keep running like this and Keegan Murray just never takes the leap they're hoping he takes. Maybe Nate Clifford just kind of gets buried in this, and the first 4 or 5 years of Nate Clifford's career are just a mess. Because you didn't want to take a trade that seemed like, man, you know what? I think we could get a little more. Like at some point, like the same way we say, if you're going to take a big swing in a trade to acquire a player, like that player is going to come with some warts.
Yeah.
I think at some point, if the Kings are really trying to get off these contracts, it's probably going to be for less than we would like to see. That's what we saw with De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah.
We're talking De'Aaron Fox. All right. You got to talk Stephon Castle. You got to talk multiple firsts. And it was Zach LaVine in a first.
Didn't even get your own pick swap back.
Didn't get your own pick swap back. Like, so that's kind of what I caution. And ideally, you'd get a couple of firsts and a young player back. Sure. But I think the reality is that may not be out there.
No, I think it's very possible.